made it to our 50th National Park!
Woo! We're Erin and Brandon, a van life couple who have been traveling around the US since August 2020 with the goal of visiting 50 national parks. This adventure has taken us all over, seeing some of the most amazing sights this country has to offer. From mountains, lakes, beaches, deserts, and everything in between, we've almost seen it all. And it has all culminated to this one park, our 50th and final park of our road trip. But we're not at Congaree National Park yet, and we have some news for you before we get there. So this is our last week of van life. We have 6 more days left in the van before we get back to New York and prepare for it to be sold. Everyone is shocked that we're selling the van. They're like, how could you sell it? You put so much work into it. Like, it's your baby, it's your home, which it is. Like, this will always be our first home that we shared. But our goal the entire time was to sell it. And I don't know if we made that super clear maybe to family and friends.
As Erin said, this was always meant to be an experiment, and part of the experiment was not only seeing the parks, but building a van from scratch, putting money into it, and then selling it for somewhat of a profit. And it's not meant to be this like crazy business enterprise. It's meant to be an investment in our future. It was a great quarantine project. While other things weren't going on, we decided to commit ourselves to this. We have 1 park left, and I think we're both just ready to get home and also to jump on our next adventure, which we have not disclosed yet on the channel. And I think we're gonna wait a little bit. We're gonna let it be a surprise, so don't be too sad. Somebody else will get the van and live this life to its fullest. I think for us, 6 months was enough, but we're gonna move on because it seems like what's best for us.
On our way from Florida to Congaree National Park, we stopped in Savannah, Georgia and Charleston, South Carolina to break up the drive. This is where we're staying for the night. We found the spot on Iowa Overlander, and apparently there are no rules with parking overnight, so hopefully we don't get a knock. Savannah and Charleston have both been super cute cities that we'll definitely want to come back to. But for the night, we're gonna go explore Charleston. We'll see you after, because tomorrow we are going to our 50th and last national park of this road trip. We're really excited, so we'll see you then.
Today is a rainy day, but a very special day because we are heading to our 50th national park of the road trip, which is always our goal, to hit 50 national parks in the continental US. There's still one that we couldn't hit because of COVID, but we hit all 50 others, and it feels like we're coming to the end of this epic journey that we've been on, a 6-month journey to hit all these parks, and then 3 months before that to build the van. And it's all culminating to this one park, Congaree National Park in South Carolina. Number 50, the last park of the road trip, and we're just gonna try to enjoy this park as much as possible, even through the rain, because it's number 50.
Kind of a weird ending of the road trip. We never really heard of Congaree National Park before researching, and look at the day. But no matter what, we've got champagne, we're gonna celebrate, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that on our last park, our last day in the national parks, number 50, and it's just a crappy day.
Okay, first things first, we're gonna check out the visitor center. I feel like we haven't been hiking in a very long time, because our last couple of national parks we were out on the water doing boat things, which was really fun, change of pace. But it was kind of weird to strap up these hiking boots again.
We checked out the visitor center and got a magnet to put on our map on the side of the van. so that it kind of fills some space. We didn't get a magnet from every park because once we did the math, it was going to be very expensive to get one from every park, and there wasn't really much room on our map, but we wanted to fill it in a little bit. So our last park got a nice magnet for it. Number 50.
Woo! Before we do anything, we need to eat. We've just been snacking on like road trip food, and yeah, we're starving. We need some nutrients before we do anything. The boardwalk trail seems like it's a perfect hike in the rain because everywhere else is really muddy, but we're doing the very iconic boardwalk trail. On a normal day, maybe if it wasn't raining, we would take the paddleboard out because there's a lot of cool lakes and ponds, but for today we're toughing it out and hiking in the rain.
Walking on the boardwalk actually isn't bad at all. If we were walking on like a mud trail, it would be really, really messy. But since we've got this beautiful walkway to walk on, we can walk through the trees, and even though it's super rainy, it's not that bad.
Well, this is where there's a fork in the road, and there's actually a change in boardwalk as well. Oh my god, that's crazy. Well, we won't get lost because we'll know to get out of here you have to go on the new boardwalk.
Literally makes you think we're in like the Forbidden Forest.
It does kind of remind me of something out of Harry Potter, or like the Devil's Snare, where it's just like, I'm impressed with Congaree National Park. We're kind of just like, oh, it's kind of a bad one to be our 50th national park. This is awesome. It's super unique, really cool. We definitely haven't been in a swampy type location yet. Okay, you gotta check these things out because they look like baby Groots from Guardian of the Galaxy. Brandon also did make a good comparison. He thinks that this looks like Dagobah, Yoda's planet. And yes, we do always have to compare national parks to movies because some national parks that we go to feel like super otherworldly and it's hard to explain. But with Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, that's how you can explain it.
Yoda! Yoda!
Not Groots, they are called knees, and the bald cypress tree produces them, and their function is not actually known, but they think for some reason the tree sprouts out these knees for extra support. It's weird to see though. It does look like a knee, like that one really looks like a knee. Here, let me give you a comparison. See what I mean?
If you're asking me, I think they're the bee's knees.
I gotta say, for the East Coast, these are some really tall trees. We said that once we left the West Coast, we wouldn't be able to look at trees the same way. But these trees are tall.
And they're big. This just goes to show you cannot have any expectations when coming into a national park. It's crazy that we set out in August to see 50 national parks. Felt like such a big goal, such a huge goal that was almost unattainable, and it was just something we were setting out to give us direction on our road trip, to do something special that most people didn't have the opportunity to do during COVID, and we just kind of jumped on it and seized it. But it's really amazing that we're actually completing our goal of seeing 50 national parks in the continental US. And I think this is a good one to end on. I think it just sums up our trip that you never know what you're missing until you come see it yourself. And Congaree, if you asked me before, I would have said, I don't need to see it. But now that we're here, it's such a unique, cool place, and I think that's really the value of getting out there, seeing the country, seeing the world, and just getting out and traveling, because you never know what you're gonna find. And often, the things that you aren't looking forward to are the things that you enjoy the most and end up being the memories that you take with you for the rest of your life.
We are back at the Yellow Brick Road, or the boardwalk that takes us out. And that was a really, really cool trail. Kind of just gave me feels that this is our last national park of this trip, and how amazing it has been and how special it's been. I don't think I'm gonna get emotional, but maybe tonight. Just like cry in bed. So we actually fast forwarded a couple of days after Congaree. We had our celebrations. We drove all the way home to New York, and now we are ready to reveal the news. The next chapter of Brandon and Erin is...
Drum roll. We're getting an apartment in New York City.
So living in Manhattan has been a dream of mine and Brandon's for a very long time. However, I grew up on Long Island, so I grew up right outside the city, and I worked in the city for a bunch of years, but I never had an apartment in the city. But because of COVID, it has made this a little more doable for us, I guess.
It's more affordable to live in the city right now. A lot of people have left, and it's brought rents down considerably. So now we can afford something that we wouldn't have been able to afford before, which is very exciting. We can get in and actually have amenities in a decent sized apartment, maybe 2 bedrooms,
maybe a dishwasher,
maybe a laundry and unit,
Ah.
all these things that we wouldn't have been able to afford before. So while it seems like we're selling the van and we're just going back to our normal life, we're also we're fulfilling a dream of ours that we both had for a long time, that seemed like it wasn't something that we could realize because of the prohibitively high costs. So now that the cost is down, we're able to chase that dream of living in the city, and we're very excited to try that out. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to live in the greatest city in the world.
And you might be thinking, okay, your motto is live alternatively. Is living in an apartment in Manhattan living alternatively? I think for a lot of people, it is. You might be thinking that a dishwasher or laundry and unit is very typical. Not in Manhattan.
I think it's the perfect time to do it, just like buying the van, building it out, and traveling was the perfect time. This is the perfect time for us to get this apartment, get in while hopefully things are coming back, businesses are coming back, and we can get in at a lower rate. So that's our next adventure.
And we are still planning to travel. Traveling Atlas is not going away. We're hoping to bring an interesting look on New York City. We're going to take this next year or so to try something else out, try something new for us, and then see what happens.
That's what life is all about. Taking risks, experiencing different things, and just rolling with the times as they come. So anyway, that's our wrap up. This might be our last video in Ronnie. We're gonna fix Ronnie up to sell.
All right, I think that wraps it up here in the van. We will still keep you updated on how Ronnie goes. But as for now, stay tuned.
If you're interested in our new content that will be coming out that's New York City based, go ahead and subscribe, stay tuned, and live alternatively.